Mark Morgan is the former acting director of the U.S. Customs and Border Enforcement. He's also a 20-year veteran of the FBI and a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He joins us now. Mark, thank you so much for being here. You recently said that this humanitarian crisis on the border is, quote, exactly what the administration wanted. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. I'm glad you asked that question. So, because I've heard over and over again that, hey, you know what, they don't have a strategy. They don't know what they're doing. And I have to respectfully disagree. They are doing exactly what they intended to do. They're doing exactly what they said, during the campaign, the radical shift in policies with respect to illegal immigration. And we warned the American people what would happen. Look, their whole goal, and they're doing it right now, they're creating reception centers at the front end and releasing people. Their goal as fast as humanly possible, knowing they will never show up for their hearings. And then on the back end, they're reducing ICE's enforcement authorities by 90%, basically creating a sanctuary country. And look, at the end of the day, the only thing that makes sense is they're doing this because they see a perceived political benefit, either through the census gaining House seats, or if they give an illegal alien a pathway to citizenship, they think that's going to equate to a Democratic vote. That's where we're at right now, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, a lot of people agree that that's the strategy. We have a historic number of unaccompanied children crossing. When illegals realize in a Democrat administration they're going to get free housing, free food, free legal representation, they're even going to get COVID vaccinations, and a bus or a plane ticket to somewhere in the United States, as well as that fast track to citizenship. This is political manipulation of these individuals, and that's not humane. I know that the Trump administration was accused of being inhumane in terms of their policy, but this is not a humane way of treating people. Right, Mark?
Tom, you are absolutely correct. That's another false narrative that they're trying to push. Look, one is that they talk about tender age minors coming across. Of course, all our hearts go out to that. None of us wants to see that. What they don't tell you is over 75% of the unaccompanied minors coming across are older teenagers. What they also don't talk to you about is how inhumane they are treated and during this dangerous journey, how independent studies have said up to 30% are abused. Once they get to our borders, they're kept in overcrowded, unsanitary stash houses for days and weeks, are shoved in tractor trailers as they cross. Coyotes leave them abandoned in the middle of the Rio Grande to fend for themselves. Many of them drowned or they die in the desert from exposure. Tom, I can keep going on and on. Yeah. Any policy where a government incentivizes and facilitates illegal entry, that is the inhumane policy.
You know, Mark, other than the erosion of the rule of law, what are the costs of all of this to the taxpayer? We've been having a lot of conversations about how the Democrats are spending money that we don't have. You know, we're supposed to be at a time right now coming out of the pandemic where we're investing in our own citizens. We're investing in our cities and our states. What are the costs of all of this? Because the price tag has got to be enormous.
Look, Tom, I think that's another great point. Now, look, I'm not an economist. I don't want to play one on TV, but this comes from a basic understanding. What I can tell you is the overwhelming majority of individuals that are illegally entering this country, they're unskilled, they're uneducated, they don't speak the language, and they have no means of physical support once they get here. So do the math. That means that we, as American taxpayers, are going to foot the bill for every single individual that enters our country illegally. Yeah. Look, you don't have to be a professional economist to understand the impact to the taxpayers.
Well, and of course, becoming a ward of the state and perpetually being on government assistance is not realizing the American dream. And I can't stand it when I hear it could be Democrats, Republicans saying, well, people, they want to realize the American dream. The fact of the matter is that the way that the system works, it actually doesn't end up that way for huge percentages of these folks. Now, Mark, I'm really glad that you're with us because I don't think the Trump administration's achievements on the border policy really penetrated the media filter very well during the administration. Now that we're in hindsight here, give our audience some of the facts that help them form a contrast with the Biden approach and the results that we've seen so far.
Yeah, Tom, that's a good question. Let me give you two really quick examples, and there's many though, because we really were provided a network of tools and policies and authorities. But let's talk about the MPP, the Migrant Protection Protocol, or the Remain in Mexico. That was a game changer because what it did was it removed one of the greatest incentives for families to come here illegally. Because before that policy, if you're a family, you made it to our border, you were released into the United States, never to be heard from again. The so-called catch and release. MPP, the Remain in Mexico, ended that policy. The other thing are the ACAs with the Northern Triangle countries, the Asylum Cooperative Agreements. That did two things. One is it ended forum shopping, meaning people didn't have a valid claim. Their goal was to get to the United States. The other thing that it did is it really pushed the international standard that if you had a valid claim, you should seek relief and assistance in the first country you come to. That was, again, the humane thing to do. And then, of course, the wall, which was effective. You ask any Border Patrol expert, the wall was obviously very effective. Those three things were game changers. By February of 2020, we saw the 75% reduction in illegal migration. We were managing the border. Those three major things, on the first day the President Biden was inaugurated, removed them immediately, and hence we have a crisis.
Mark, the Obama administration started the practice of shipping illegals to different states. The Biden administration has picked this up. They're giving people plane tickets. They're giving people bus tickets. This is very controversial. Where do you anticipate this new crop is going to end up, especially coming off of your charge that there is a political motivation to this policy?
Yeah, so again, your listeners really need to understand what's going on. Again, their strategy is to release individuals illegally entering as fast as possible. And part of this is these are my words, is what I call this a cover-up. Because what they're going to do, and they are doing already, is busing and transporting, as you said, those that illegally entering further into the United States to cover up the magnitude of their crisis so those local communities aren't overwhelmed, although some of them already are. That's their goal, and it's already happening. Unaccompanied minors, they're finding sponsors in every city throughout this entire country, but they're going to start doing that to families as well, and it's just going to keep growing.
All right, Mark Morgan, thank you for your insights and your service to the country. We appreciate you being here.
You bet, Tom. Thanks.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.